UNC, the North Carolina Tar Heels, need a big win, boost that RPI. Virginia, meanwhile, coming off just their second loss of the season. Yeah, it's been raining all day. Spirits aren't dampened, though. Both coaches looking forward to getting this one on here on a Friday night in Chapel Hill. Hi, everybody. I'm Chris Cotter alongside newly crowned Masters champion Quinn Kesnick. We are looking forward to this one tonight. And we got big news out of Virginia, too, and it's not great news. Connor Schellenberg, he's kind of been banged up over these last couple of games. He's not going to play tonight. They're going to rest him up, make sure he gets to 100%, so that's going to affect Virginia.
He's the quarterback of their offense. He averages more than 5 points per game. He's one of the top players in the country. And I think if you're Virginia now, you got to run the offense through different guys. Expect to see more midfield initiation. Expect to see guys like Peyton Cormier dodge with the ball in their stick.
Yeah, when you think about Cormier, he has really been on fire the last couple of games.
And what he did against Duke last week was pretty impressive. He had 6 goals on a whopping 15 shots. Duke put the short stick defensive midfielder on Cormier, and he took them to the rack. Expect to see Cormier push to pay dirt tonight. We'll find out if he's a mudder.
You know, for North Carolina, the defensive numbers speak for themselves. They've been very good on that side of the field, but lately Logan McGovern's really been running this offense.
This young man is such a great story. He's got 5 points in 3 straight games, okay? 8 points against Dartmouth, 7 against High Point. He had 5 goals against Providence. Shooting has been on target, 12 of his last 15. But the big story, he's a 5'8" grad transfer from Bryant. This is a young man who's persevered through cystic fibrosis. One of the great stories in the game this year.
5th in the country in shooting percentage. Comes in shooting almost 51%. Face-off dot, it's always a big story, but I think maybe even more so today because a big part of it's this weather.
Well, they're going to be facing off in a mud pile. Okay, Peter LaSalle should have an advantage. He's 59% on the season. He's scored 6 goals. But don't blink, because North Carolina's face-off man, Andrew Tyre, has 11 goals for the season. He's North Carolina's leading midfield goal scorer. The Fogo, Andrew Tyre. Hard to figure.
What gives with that? Because LaSalle has 33 career goals. He's always been one that can not only score goals off the face-off draw cue, but stays on the field. And Tyre's been staying on the field, too. They're not subbing out these Fogos.
With big success. Last 5 games, he's got 10 goals on about 45 or so face-off wins. And that's where Carolina has been pummeling lesser opponents in transition, using their ride and using face-off wins, a.k.a. ground balls in the middle of the field, to generate transition.
Look at the weather clearing up just as we're about to face it off. I'm taking the slicker off, Q.
Clearing up. Amazing that this field has drained so well. They moved the women's game earlier today to a turf field, and the factors, the conditioning, the traction will be a storyline.
Tyre wins the draw, but now he's in a little bit of trouble. We'll get a whistle, and it'll be a turnover over to Virginia. So illegal procedure against Virginia, or against North Carolina, rather, on that first face-off win. And we'll get a chance to see this Virginia clear. Now, both coaches, when we talked to them this week, Q, said, we're going to that 10-man ride. We're going to be aggressive on the ride. Both coaches did, so expect to see a lot of fireworks in the clearing game.
There you see Dixon squirreling away from 4 different Carolina defenders in their 10-man ride. The area that they get you is when you bring the ball over the midfield line, all of a sudden the field shrinks and you're double teamed.
Jeff Connor with the ball in his cross, 2-way midfielder, number 4. Now, interestingly enough, Truett Sunderland, the true freshman, playing from that X spot. And Dixon, ball tipped, so it won't be over and back, stays on the offensive end, and Virginia avoids the offside with Cole Kastner just tipping it. Cavaliers still have 20 seconds to shoot. Here's Garno, really fired from distance when he gets an open look. Tried to feed it into traffic. That one's going to go out of bounds to North Carolina.
Garno gets the bump up to first midfield as Griffin Schutz missed some practice time today. We expect to see Schutz, but probably on Virginia's second midfield.
Injury is a big part of the story for a lot of teams this time of year, and Virginia, no exception. You can see the water sloshing around with Schertzinger. No penalty, now we get it. Madden, he'll look to dodge, takes a shot, tried to bounce it through the crease, and you can see all the water on the field. The ball just dies on shots on the ground.
It rained hard all day. A monsoon. This will be a hold against Evan Zinn. Easy call. Little headlock hold position 30.
There. 2-0, hold 30.
We see our first man up. But the key areas of the field, the face-off dot is going to be a mud pile. Around the creases, it'll be interesting to see how the footing and how it evolves with the goalies. Offensively, you're going to be better off to play it north-south. East-west dodging is not going to work in this game on a wet track.
Carolina 55.5% man up. Good for 5th best in the country. They'll get a shot and a goal. They'll improve on those numbers. Griffin Gallagher man up. Buries his 2nd goal of the year. Carolina takes the early lead at home.
Righty Rip, grad student from Gettysburg. Plays on that right-hand side, the wing shooter. He had a bomb against Dartmouth and a similar goal here. Catch it, he's able to rotate, crow hop, plant his feet. He's got good traction and he lets it rip. And when that ball hits the net, poof, into the mist.
All that water that has been collecting all day long here at Dorrance. LaSalle wins initially on the clam. We get a loose ball hold against Petey back to North Carolina. Tyre. He can shoot. They pick him up. He gets it over to McGovern. Here's Tillman. McGovern and Tillman are these 2 little water bugs, right? Using that quickness and speed. Patton's the opposite. He's a big, tall, lanky freshman, number 7.
Yeah, and interesting, Tillman and McGovern going to be covered by guys who almost have a foot height advantage on them. Saustad's what, 6'6"?
Castor's 6'7".
39 is 6'7". So those are interesting height matchups.
Antonio DeMarco. Long pull, Bauer covering him. Here's Henry Schertzinger, one of 4 sets of twins on this North Carolina lacrosse team. DeMarco. That was Dewey Egan, 21. He's been banged up for much of the year, but getting some run now out of the midfield. Matten trying to come upfield, takes a shot, doesn't get on cage. Loose ball picked up by Virginia.
Castor does a good job tying up Matten as he was bringing that stick to release the ball. Connor, my biggest question with Carolina as they roll into their 10-man, they've been dusting inferior competition. Kind of hard to tell how good they are. They're playing well. They went through, what, a 4-game period in 9 days?
Yeah.
And now they've had, what, 13 days to get ready for this, coming off a bye week?
Right.
They look fresh. They look hungry. But it's hard to tell how good they are.
Right. They had Providence, High Point, Dartmouth in that stretch after losing to Duke. They had won those 3 games, but now they're back into the meat of this ACC schedule. And, you know, Coach Bresci wasn't holding back. They've got Notre Dame twice and Syracuse still to come after this game. He thought they needed to win 2 of their last 4 games to get an NCAA at-large bid. And every bid in the ACC, by the way, is an at-large bid. There's no automatic bid. Dixon, he'll get an open shot and scores. Well, Q Dixon has been the real beneficiary of Schellenberger and his passing, finding him in open lanes, but he's going to have to do a lot more with the ball in his stick, isn't he?
He's got great chemistry with Schellenberger, but with Connor out of the lineup, the ball's got to be in Dixon's cross as a penetrator, as a dodger, as an initiator. He's covered by the midfield defender, and he turns the corner, gets to pay dirt, dodge to the dirt. That's the dirt patch in front of the goal. Dixon takes that extra step to greatness, and he needs to initiate.
The leading goal scorers in the country. Dixon comes in 4th at 3.7 a game. He picks up his first tonight.
He can be a chameleon.
Look at this. He's wide open, shoots, doesn't get through. Rebound, though, goes to Virginia, and immediately Cormier is able to put it past Krieg. Virginia takes their first lead of the night.
Tell you, rebounds are key in high-level D1 lacrosse games. You chart games, and you see in every game there's 1 or 2 rebound goals. Cormier, a native of Canada who grew up playing the indoor game, there's a ton of rebounds in indoor lacrosse where their offensive players are taught, crash the crease, crash the goal area on any outside shots. That one kicked right to Cormier, too easy.
actually off and running here at a 2-1 score. Had a lot of back and forth action. Haven't even had a chance to really mention our goaltenders yet today. We're talking a lot about this battle at the face-off X. Matthew Nunes in goal for Virginia. Colin Krieg, outstanding numbers on the year. He's really the backstop of this great defensive unit for North Carolina. In net for the Tar Heels. Krieg, 5th in the country in goals against at just under 8.9, and also top 10 in save percentage.
Solid as a rock, the lefty from Long Island, Colin Krieg. Still's got that Long Island accent. Meanwhile, Matt Nunes is coming off, kind of hit a little bit of a sophomore slump, but his last 2 games have been good. And what you just saw there, an 80-yard pass, a bounce pass over the 10-man ride. Man, I'm not sure there's a better goalie out of the net than Matt Nunes.
McIntosh tries to beat Krieg low. Krieg up to the task. We've said it already, we'll say it a bunch today. The clearing game is going to be huge. Got an empty net, and Krieg's going to go for it the length of the field. Doesn't get there. Now the race to the end line. And they're going to say it stays with North Carolina. That's a big call.
I thought Matsui, 22 in blue, was closer to the line when the ball went out.
That's going to be a big part of it, Q. You're going to take those long bomb shots, and you better have one of your own teammates backing it up. Otherwise, it's as good as a turnover.
Thought it was interesting, Joe Bresci telling us that they're going to play the 10-man, and they're coming at it full speed. Pedal to the metal lacrosse.
Now we're going to get a push in the back. Probably going to see a lot of these calls today, Q, where if the player falls down, you got to throw the flag, right?
Tough to keep your feet on a day like today, and this will be the 2nd foul against Virginia. But Joe Bresci kind of admitting, yeah, they lost to Duke. They're down 9-2. They made a kind of a middle run in that game. They make it 9-8. They ultimately lost. But he felt they weren't as aggressive. They didn't ride. They didn't fly around. They didn't create transition. And he said, win or lose, the rest of the year, this Carolina team is going to play up-tempo. They're going to create action. They're going to play
how they play. They're going to do their thing, and they're not going to be timid. And we've seen that already today. We've also seen a man-up goal already today on their only opportunity earlier. Zinn now in the box for 30 seconds, his 2nd penalty of the game.
Bounce shots in play on this wet surface from the outside. Ball's going to really skim for the shooter.
McGovern. Now goal line extended. We'll look up top. That's Zinsner, PJ Zinsner, 44. Tic-tac-toe passing. That one's tipped as he tried to get it to Schertzinger. Now they're going to say it went off a North Carolina player.
I thought it was tipped. Logan McGovern's appealing to the official that it was tipped.
Not going to do him any good. This will give Virginia an opportunity to kill off the man down, which they do, so now full strength. Long pass. Was able to save it in bounds. And a chance for Virginia. And oh boy, I thought we would get a go there. We do here. Dixon couldn't fire it, but it was Cormier, Johnny on the spot for the 2nd time today. Virginia extends their lead to 2.
Live by the sword, die by the sword. Your 10-man ride, the numbers game can be there. Virginia goes over the top with this initial pass. I think it's Kastner. Great save, just an amazing play. Good footwork, foot was in bounds. They feed the crease, nothing happening. But again, Cormier, right place, right time. Virginia scores against the aggressive Carolina ride, but the save on the sideline notable.
Petey wins the clamp to himself. Tire subs out. Petey will stay on. Here's Connor. Looking to dodge down the alley on a shorty. North Carolina shows, but backs off.
Connor was a big bright spot last week in that Duke loss with 3 assists. Versatile, can play O, can play D, can pass. Complete player.
Connor comes upfield. Looking for an angle, doesn't have much of one. Now back upfield again. Nice job defensively. That's the freshman, Leaf Hager up. Extra passing, Cormier! That's a hat trick already!
Natural hat. Cormier 3 straight. Schutz picks up the assist. This is the best half-field set we've seen from Virginia today. Dixon draws 2 on the wing. Schutz has his eyes up, and Peyton Cormier can't miss.
The new fragrance, Dior.
Weren't going to miss this game. Nope, the rain, the cold, not keeping the North Carolina fans at bay. All things considered, Q, pretty good crowd here early on in Dorrance. It has been a deluge all day long.
Monsoon all day. And the temperature dropped like 35 degrees. It was 80 here yesterday. It's been warm.
Yeah, it's mid-40s right now. They understand how big this game is, though. We talked about it, and Coach Bresci talked about it earlier in the week. This is a huge opportunity for them. They can't go into Selection Sunday with maybe one more win under their belts. They really need to win 2 of the last 4. And a win against Virginia with as high an RPI as Virginia has would be huge for them. But right now for Joe Bresci, he's got to figure things out defensively, because even without Connor Schellenberger, it's 4-1 Wahoos.
I think 2 things. He's got to weigh the risk and reward of the 10-man ride, okay? And then they've got to figure out how Virginia is attacking them without Schellenberger. And so far, it seems like Xander Dixon wing dodges, Jeff Connor wing dodges.
They also have not gotten great opportunities offensively. Their only goal on the night so far has been man up.
Haven't been able to win a matchup down low with the attack, whether it's McGovern or Matten. Probably, if you're Dave Metzbauer, their offensive coordinator, expecting to see them attack the Virginia shorts through the midfield initially.
Harry Schertzinger trying to do just that. Behind now quickly. DeMarco can't fire it off. Tried to get it to Madden. He loses it initially and picked up by Soliday. Now we're going the other way. Zinn, look at the speed. He'll shoot and score!
This was an unbelievable ground ball by Grayson Soliday. The ball's on the carpet, and the captain of the Cavaliers, watch him slide and scoop in one motion. Slide, scoop, control, forward pass to Zinn. That's an amazing play, Cotter, an amazing play. I thought Evan Zinn was great last week against Duke. That continues today. Blinding speed, he can shoot. Last week he showed his eyes were up, he had an assist. He's playing at a high level. Lars Tiffany talked to us about that this week on the phone.
Yes, he's the type of kid who could have a future in the pros. Look at McGovern with the shot wide. Big chase to the end line. Virginia's going to win possession because he can do so many things, because he is so versatile. And you saw in that play, he's one of the fastest players in the country.
He fits physically on the pro field, I'll tell you that much. You go down to the field pregame, these guys are animals. But Evan Zinn stands out. He's 6'3", nearly 200 pounds. He runs a legit laser-timed 4.5 or faster. And now he's playing fast within the scheme here.
Virginia effective on the clear. 5 of 7 shooting in this game for Virginia.
Carolina's in a little bit of funk, okay? They had a slow start against Duke. You called that game.
Yeah.
Were they down like 8-1, 9-2?
They had a great middle of the game, great second and third quarter. They let it get away from them in the fourth. Dixon. Now he's on the shorty. He's getting open a little bit in front of the cage early today, Q.
Okay, this is a matchup Carolina has to support. They're going to need to double here and then rotate and recover behind it.
Up front. That's a good-looking shot from McConvey.
Find your matchups now. Get the pole back on Dixon. Carolina's
able to do it. Sunderland. Getting a lot more minutes tonight because of the injury to Schellenberger. McConvey has the ball taken away. Matt Wright beautifully, although Virginia gets it back. Little unsettled here, scores! I mentioned Garnold can rip it from distance, but when he gets in tight, he's equally as effective, and he beats Krieg.
Two things that stand out so far in this game. Ground ball plays. Everything's coming up blue. Virginia is winning the battle off the ground. Turnover potentially created. McConvey hustles, gets it back, has his eyes up. And then the second thing, after ground ball success in this game, shooting. You alluded to it at the beginning of that possession. Right now, Virginia can't miss.
6 unanswered goals for the Cavaliers. Similar to that Duke game the last time Carolina was really tested. Down big early. This will be the third faceoff violation of the half against Petey. So it'll be a 30-second penalty against Virginia.
These are big now. Virginia, Lars Tiffany actually told us when we spoke to him this week that he wanted to increase the physicality of this game. And the fact that they only had 1 penalty against Duke kind of stood out, that maybe they didn't play physical enough. Now, obviously, a face-off violation is not a penalty that results in physicality. But when he said that, in my mind, I said, oh, you're going to be playing some man down tonight. And this already is their 3rd man down.
Carolina 1 for 2 in the first 2.
The door's open now for Carolina. They need to convert and find some rhythm.
Gallagher, number 17, scored on that.
Sawstad
First
really
man up.
pressing out at X.
There's Gallagher again, this time to Zinsner. Schertzinger tried to squeeze it inside, nothing
Covered.
doing.
He was covered. You can't predetermine that pass. You got to sense it. You got to use your spatial awareness. You got to read bodies, read movement. You can't guess and say, next time I get it, I'm going to jam it inside, because he was open last time.
Stays with Carolina, although the man up is now a thing of the past. McGovern on Sawstead. You can see the size differential between 1 and 11. 1 in white, 11 in blue. Ball's on the carpet. Picked up by Soliday again.
He's having a strong game. 32 in blue, having a strong game.
Opts to get it to Sunderland.
Sawstad, not in the mood tonight. I'll tell you, Brendan O'Neill put a show on last week. If you're a young offensive player, you want to Google those highlights. Duke's Brendan O'Neill at Virginia last week, 9 points. It was unbelievable. As good an offensive performance as I've ever seen. And Sawstad's bouncing back tonight with authority.
Liaison had his cross hit just as he was trying to pass it to Sunderland. Second turnover of the night for Virginia. There's Lars Tiffany. Again, you got that open goal with a 10-man ride. Virginia, we've already seen North Carolina try and take advantage.
Better get ball pressure with an empty net.
Too wide.
Now, and we're seeing this nationally, Connor. Teams go 10-man, empty net, but there's no ball pressure. It's like, hey, line it up, take the long shot, here you go.
Again,
make my day.
You better have somebody backing up.
You gotta get ball pressure on his hands to take his eyes down.
Carolina did that time with McGovern, so keep possession. Schertzinger trying to dodge in the middle of the field, as you said, but the footing is tough to come by. Tillman trying to use a pick, just cannot get free. Relentless defense. Ball still loose on the ground. Picked up by Sawstead, but he loses his footing. Nunes. Near side over to Kastner. Great execution by Virginia in the clearing game.
That's good defense by the Cavs. They got lit up last week. But Duke put up, what, 16 on them? Sawstad winning his matchup. Kastner flying around making plays. Chismar, good handle out. That's what it should look like.
Sunderland. Quickness, good pass. Can't get the shot off, though. That's what Dixon has done so well this year, the catch and shoot in one motion. That time he caught it. By the time he had the shot, ball was already out of the back half of his cross. Still got the open net. Now Nunes is able to fill it. Carolina's in trouble. Bresci's going to have to call a timeout. Final minute and a half of this first quarter. Bresci giving his team an ovation. They're down 6-1, though, on the strength of Peyton Cormier's big first quarter. The natty hat trick, 3 in a row.
Cormier was banged up early in the season, missed a game or two, but he has come back. 6 goals last week. Today he's got the natural hat trick rebound, made it 2-1. Ground ball play here, 3-1. And then Schutt's eyes are up. That's Cormier's spot, that kind of left-hand side of the slot. He floats around, he finds the bubbles. Virginia's had none of that. The tall guys are owning the shorter attackman, and so now Carolina's going to have to generate some offense through the midfield, or try to use some two-man games, some pick games for ball carriers.
Over 11.5 minutes without a goal. DeMarco can't beat Nunes with that one.
That coming out of a timeout is a stinger.
Zinn. Beautiful look too. Bauer's shot had a lot of mustard behind it, but too high.
Zinn's playing a high brand of lacrosse right now, 0 and blue.
Sunderland allow Bauer a chance to sub out.
It's a good opportunity for Sunderland now as a freshman getting the start today. He's seen some time this year. This is the biggest game that he's been inserted into. Just play your role. The game's not on your shoulders. Play to your strengths.
Schutz wants to run a little bit of that clock. Shot clock is not a factor. Takes one look at it. Knows he's got 20 seconds to work with. Try to get it quickly to McIntosh inside. Here comes Carolina. Will they be able to get a shot off? Gonna have to get something quick. Got a good look. Was not on target though. Ty English.
They got a chance for one attempt here. Jam it inside.
McGovern tries to do just that, but Sawstead just all over him. Never even got a good shot off. Impressive first quarter for the Wahoos on the road. Smarting from a loss their last time out. It's 6-1 Virginia after one.
Chevy Silverado and new Silverado HD. Choose your own path with the #1 best-selling retail full-size pickup and see where it takes you. Find new roads. It's Chevy truck season. Get 0% financing plus make no monthly payments for 90 days on all 2023 Silverado 1500 pickups, or current Chevy owners get $5,250 total value on a 2023 Silverado with a turbo high output engine. Find new roads at your local Chevy dealer.
6-1 after one. Virginia with the lead over North Carolina here in Chapel Hill. As we look at the ACC standings, big weekend on tap. Not only this game, But you got a monstrous game tomorrow in South Bend. Notre Dame taking on Duke.
We'll see how Duke handles success after taking down Virginia and Klockner last week. 4 o'clock face-off. South Bend, Indiana, Arlada Stadium. Kark and Anish have that call. It's 4 o'clock tomorrow on ESPNU. Duke at Notre Dame.
Ground balls, Virginia 13, North Carolina 4. We talked about the shooting as well. North Carolina, just the 1 goal early on. They're almost 13 minutes without a goal, and they haven't really gotten many great opportunities.
Carolina has 8 shots, 6 turnovers. They've been held scoreless for nearly 13 minutes after opening this game with a goal. As you take a look at Connor Schellenberger, who's not dressed for Virginia, we were told he's out short term with a lower body injury. If you watched the game last week against Duke, it was very apparent that he was not 100%. He never really pushed to the goal with any kind of gusto. I think given the wet conditions, they take the prudent side and sit their star player today.
Worked out for them so far. They've been able to forge a 5-goal lead here in the early part of the second quarter.
Carolina's midfield has not been the strength of this team this season. Andrew Tyre, their Fogo, is their leading midfield goal scorer.
Schertzinger now up top. Welford, he scores! Well, maybe that'll get that midfield going.
That's a rip. It's a rollback rip, and you can hear it ping iron. $20 goals a season ago at Bucknell. He's a grad student here now out of St. Louis. Watch him set up his strong right hand. Kind of a face dodge, roll back, shoot through his screen, and nail a corner. Again, if you're a young player, you want to set up your strength. He's a natural right-handed player.
Kastner recognized it too. It was just a tick late, wasn't he? Knew it was coming. 39 in blue just couldn't quite get there, and Welford made him pay. Carolina breaks a long scoring drought. Bauer picks that loose ball out of the air. Soliday now will wait for some help. Out of the substitution box comes in the form of Thomas McConvey.
Virginia was super aggressive off of faceoffs last week, and it cost them. They had a bunch of turnovers where they were looking to push faceoffs right away. They turned it over, and Duke shoved the ball down their throat. Duke scored a ton of goals in that game on high turnovers in the zone that led to transition. Virginia looks a little more conservative tonight after winning faceoffs.
McIntosh getting a little time at that attack spot as well, number 18. Turnover, though.
Carolina's defense statistically ranks super high in efficiency.
Barton.
They got a proven goaltender in Krieg. They need to do better.
Harrison Schertzinger over to Tillman. Back up top to Schertzinger. Here's DeMarco.
Great athlete. DeMarco can run, he can cut. He's a good-looking young player. He's only a sophomore.
Looking to dodge on Soliday. Schertzinger up top. McGovern. He'll shoot on the run. Wide. Virginia wins the loose ball battle. Soliday has had a heck of a game. A lot of hustle plays in this first half.
He's had a trio of them. 2 grounders and that run out, that end line run out. 3 possessions earned by Grayson Soliday, the captain.
Virginia having a tough time getting that ball past the midfield line, and they do. With just a second or 2 to spare. Cormier thought about the wide angle. Saw 18 McIntosh. Now with X. Connor. Up top to McConvey. McConvey barking out instructions. Nothing about that was smooth, was it, Q?
Yale's playing good defense, but looks like an interference call. And now a flag.
Let's get the call from Miko Red Arrow. He'll explain it to Bresci first.
Falls on white, 22, illegal procedure, 30 seconds.
I missed it. Coach Bresci's got the towel around his neck. Interesting. Great minds think alike.
You can't see it.
Great minds think alike.
Hughes over here with the towel around his neck. We're a lot more comfortable than Coach Bresci is at the moment, even though the rain has died down considerably compared to what it was earlier in the day. Now a man-up opportunity for Virginia. Tough angle. Creek can't see it initially, but now he finds it.
Nice job by Krieg. He's got to be super solid right here as this team's trying to work their way back into this game. He's got to win the goalie matchup if Carolina's going to pull off this upset.
Dixon on the ride. Tries to get it to Marr. If he picks it up, he'll have a scoring opportunity, but he can't quite corral it. Bauer tracks down that loose ball. Castor. Over to McConvey. Cormier, McConvey again. Now Virginia with Dixon will slow it up a little bit. He's got a matchup he likes though right here. Checked by Alex Bresci, short stick D-midi. So 10 and Blues salivating a bit here. Thought about using the Corey pick, instead slides past it. Krieg is able to stop him. Physical play for this loose ball. English trying to get it. He does. Gets it to his goalie, Krieg.
Nice. These ground ball battles in the mud are classic. Love it.
Open net on this 10-man ride. Turnover, though. Corey's going to have a chance. Gets it to Cormier, who scores!
Thought Carolina kind of panicked on the clear, Cotter. They had an empty net. I expected a shot right there, but they throw the seam pass, and the connection just wasn't there. Next thing you know, Virginia's got numbers the other way, and Cormier bags his fourth off the broken Carolina clear. Nice job by Cormier finishing a high fake to a high shot, really dictating the action, not letting the goalie play him.
Pass from Corey right on the money as well. And Virginia, that lead back up to 5. Loose ball push against North Carolina. Virginia looking to move quickly. Got a delayed flag down too against Carolina.
Coach Bresci 5 yards out onto the field as well.
Connor. Skip pass all the way over. Miezon! Wow! It's a team on a mission tonight, Q.
Rocket, this is a blast. How about this skip pass by Jeff Connor? Wing to wing. Brings back memories of Kyle Dixon, the great Virginia midi. I mean, he's not even looking in that direction and throws a BB 20 yards across the formation, and then the big ex-Stanford linebacker is able to set his feet and let it rip, and he's got one of the fastest shots in the game. Danger time now for Joe Bresci and the Heels.
He is not in a pleasant mood. His team is down 6 goals at home, and they've got to find some way to turn this around or it's going to get ugly. Tyers helping out. Winning faceoffs. He's not afraid to shoot. Instead, he gives it up. Extra pass. English buries it.
That's their DNA. Heels have been lethal off face-off wins. Mars on a wing. Tyre handles this like any field player should. He's super aggressive. He's got the hot hand shooting, and watch him earn the respect of the defense right here. Chismar's got to play him. But this is where the play's made. Marr with the pump fake, and his eyes are up. English does the easy work. Good play by 31 Marr right there. Handling in traffic.
Nice to have a player like English with those silky hands right on the doorstep. Carolina gets a much-needed goal. Now they need this ground ball, and they pick it. Roselle gets it back to Marr. Sin charges on for Virginia. Big Dewey Egan, 21's been banged up for much of the year. Now running out of the box tonight for Coach Bresci. McGovern. Found Tillman, who was running out of the box, along with Henry Schertzinger. Madden. Shot too high from Welford. Madden backs it up. Still 39 seconds to shoot.
It's amazing. Carolina has played dozens and dozens of offensive personnel. That's why I still think they have growth. They still have upside here in the last quarter of the season. The problem at times is that they're still trying to find roles. Sophomores, freshmen, and transfers.
Tillman rolls back. Good look inside. Nunes with the save. Tries to get the quick outlet. Stays with Carolina.
Great grounder by Bart. Wow. That was Nunes' top stop of this game, Chris. He turned really fast. You can see his athletic ability. His balance has been good. He tends to guess sometimes to the offside. That one he played true. He played it honest and trusted the quickness of his hands.
Schertzinger now. That solid 8 checking him. Madden. Gets a pick. Tries to shoot but can't get anything on it. Welford backs it up. Stays with Carolina, 45 to shoot, nearing the midway point of this second quarter. Now we get a whistle and a timeout with dead ball. Virginia and Lars Tiffany wants to talk about it. 8-3, the Wahoos with the advantage here on a Friday night in ACC lacrosse. Wahoos on the road, up 8-3 here in Chapel Hill. Chris Cotter, Quinn Kesnick with you on a Friday night. As we said earlier at the top of the show, Connor Schellenberger banged up, got a lower body injury. He's day-to-day, but not playing today. But you look at the Tualatin watch list, depth on this Virginia team. The depth of talent is pretty amazing.
I think that's a signature for this Virginia team this year. While Schellenberger's your star, he's your quarterback, he's your main trigger man. You've got other guys who are all-American caliber players, and plenty of them. I like what I'm seeing from the second midfield tonight for Virginia. They have some punch, and I think that's a prerequisite. When I'm looking at teams who can win a national championship, I think you need 2 viable midfields, because you got to win a game on Saturday and come back on Memorial Day and win a second game 3 days later. You can't be over-reliant in the heat on one midfield line.
Egan getting double-teamed. Chismar comes over. Egan is too big, though, to dislodge himself from the ball. McGovern coming off a pick, gets a little bit of room. Ball got by Nunes, but it hit the pipe and came back. That's a sick feeling for a goalie, isn't it, when you look around behind you to see the ball. Luckily for him, it wasn't in the back of the net. Castor thought about shooting at the empty net. Instead, the long pass, and it's a turnover. Castor was indecisive there.
Well, he made the right play, and look, he pumps his chest as if to take blame for it, because he pumped the goal. Krieg got off Cormier and went back towards the crease, freed up Cormier. He just kind of geeked the pass. He hit a 7-iron when he needed a 9.
Staying with the Masters theme. Now the empty net. Shot. Who's backing it up? Stays with Carolina. Schertzinger. Extra pass. McGovern scores!
Oh, this is nice. That's the best passing goal we've seen from the Heels. Their fans love it. The dogs in attendance are barking. Watch McGovern. Is there a subtle fake here? because Nunes drops. Nunes was reading low. Watch a goalie. You talk about guessing. I don't know what Nunes is doing there. His stick's down on the turf. The ball's going over his head. That's when you've got to show discipline as a keeper and be patient and trust your skills and read the ball in the pocket, off the lip of the stick, and in the air. McGovern continuing with his spectacular season.
This time Tyre a little early, trying to beat the whistle. So Petey puts it in play. Can Virginia strike quickly? Sunderland had his defender hung up. Gets it back. Look at the traffic in front in the mud.
Carolina content to just let him sit back there.
Now Virginia's going to sub out. McConvey checks in. As does Griffin Schutz.
In our discussions with Lars Tiffany, Virginia head coach this week, he said he wanted to see Schutz, McConvey, Cormier, the big guys, play with more physicality, play more north-south, stop dancing.
Cormier tried to muscle his way in on Connor Marr.
The words he used was more warrior, more beast.
Cormier showed it on that play. Now Sunderland. McConvey. He's working on the shorty, gets it back and beats Krieg over his shoulder.
McConvey keeps his point streak alive. There's a subtle deception on the release. Lefty gets underneath. He's able to bring that ball back into the pocket right here. Crosses over, brings it back, and lets it go. Looks like Krieg never really got a good bearing on it, and he may have been thinking low, and McConvey puts that over the lefty's opposite shoulder. You think about what Thomas McConvey did for that Vermont Catamount program, multiple NCAA appearances, really raising the level of that program for Chris Fifes, a former Carolina assistant. Played in some big games for Vermont.
One of the big finds in the offseason transfer portal. Virginia doesn't do wholesale transfers in. One thing they've been able to do, though, over the last couple of years in this new era is just pick and choose a couple of guys a year that are going to help them out, and McConvey fits that mold. Here's McIntosh. Trying to roll back to the middle of the field. Over to Garno. Miezon scored on a missile earlier on in this half.
Miezon likes to sweep right-handed.
Sunderland, head up. Garno using the Miezon pick. McIntosh got his hands free a little bit. Krieg that time. Cormier wasn't able to beat him high.
That was a gorgeous move by Cormier, really creative. The big fake, I think the defender bought it. Krieg was not in a buying mood.
He'll try and find that empty net. Just wide. Sawstead wins the battle of the end line. It's the player closest to the ball the moment it goes out of bounds.
Not sure I agree with that one, because it looked like McGovern saved the ball and then it deflected off of Sawstead's leg and out of bounds.
Could have been. You're right. The call may have been off McGovern. Dixon, forget about that. A lot of space to operate for Xander Dixon, one of the leading goal scorers in the country, and he gets his second of the night.
Look, it's one thing to play up-tempo transition lacrosse. At some point, you got to get back in the hole and play defense. This ball is matriculated up the field instantaneously. It's a 3-on-2. Carolina, you're looking around if you're a defender, like, where is everybody? Well, the turnover on the end line proves costly. Slim Reaper, what a great kid. What a great kid. Great, excellent tennis player growing up, Connor.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, well, his dad played here at Carolina.
Oh.
His dad.
Now we'll get the call. Like I said earlier, if a player hits the deck on this wet field, you're going to have to throw the flag, and Connor Marr did. They'll get the call. Egan wants a scoring opportunity before we get the call.
Dixon playing for the Brunswick School. My guest on this week's podcast was Wilson Stevenson, defender for Duke. He's also from Brunswick. Unfortunately, Darien took him down last night.
Oh, they did? I didn't know that. Brunswick was number one, weren't they?
Yeah, and this incredible buzzer beater goal with 1.7 to go.
Tried the behind the back.
Field storming had everything you want.
Wow.
Cheerleaders in a field storm.
That's great.
They had a pretty good time last night in Darien, I can imagine.
Blue 23, hold 30 seconds. Trust me, Pete.
Another opportunity for North Carolina. Soliday, or yeah, I should say Petey LaSala on the penalty.
Did he look like embarrassed? He's like looking over coach and like
feeling shame.
Yeah.
Like at slap shot when you go to the penalty box and you feel shame. Ken Gallagher and Zinsner and company get another man-up goal. That's how they got on the board at the very early stages of this game. Covered. Gallagher, that's where he scored from in the first quarter. Schertzinger, ball in front of the crease. Noon's got enough of it, though.
Noon's got a broken stick on that save. He crosses over. Not sure what happened. He's got to run off the field. He'll trade that one off. This was an amazing save. Watch him crossover, make the stop, goes to clamp. He puts too much weight on it, and it just breaks.
Right up the throat. Chance here for North Carolina. Noons, now he can't find it. He's sitting on it.
Don't kick it in the goal. He's sitting on it like it's an Easter egg.
That's a couple of times Noons hasn't been able to find it, but he got enough of it. Now the open goal! And Kastner this time, make no mistake about it.
This game's entered the bizarro world suddenly.
No indecision on that shot, Q.
I've been talking about it all game. You cannot do a 10-man ride without ball pressure. The save. Noons has caught fire in this quarter. Rebound control. Look at him. He's pacing. He almost kicked it in the net. Be careful when you're kicking that ball. Kastner eyes it up from distance. 6'7", 200-pound junior from Palo Alto, California. Near the Stanford campus for those world travelers.
First goal of the year.
Got a great breakfast place out there called Hobie's. If you ever got a call game at Stanford,
breakfast.
You go to Hobie's when you're doing games at Stanford. Best pancakes in America.
Kastner, great high school basketball player. Could have played at this level. Opted to play lacrosse and become an All-American here at Virginia. Egan, he's going to have to use that muscle. Nothing doing on Kastner. Welford over to DeMarco. Tillman coming out of the box to use that speed and quickness. DeMarco has an open look. Noons. And the outlet to Chismar. Really good pass.
Chismar bailed him out. It was a tough catch.
Tillman just hounding Chismar. Now they'll get the flag.
Lars Tiffany, I think, was on the field wanting to call timeout there because Chismar was struggling with the Carolina defender. Tell you, Noah Chismar played a strong game last week against Duke. He had 6 ground balls.
Take another look, though.
He runs himself into the double team. There's no hold. There's the hold.
Yeah, it had to be that hold.
Was the timeout called before the hold?
Andrew Geppert. Transfer from Brown, the guilty party.
Okay, man, reload me, man. All right, with a blue timeout, fouls on white, 0/1 minute. 0 white /1 minute.
Not a hold, a slash.
No, the call is on Tillman. So they didn't get
behind
Geppert on the
play.
hole.
Yeah,
Yeah, they got Tillman with the slash, which is a better call for Virginia. That's a minute. Lars wants the timeout to talk things over and get set for this man-up opportunity with 1:20 left to go in the first half. These two obviously old ACC rivals, Q. I mean, you were, before the game, you were hearkening back to some of the games these two played when you were playing at Hopkins back in the 80s.
Before, 1986, these two teams played for the national championship game. Carolina won 10-9 in overtime. Recent history, I go back to the semifinals. What was that, 2021?
Yeah.
Rentschler Field.
East Hartford, right.
Yeah, you had your same yellow coat on that you have tonight,
right.
And you were getting rained on.
Right.
Virginia got off to the strong start. Carolina and Chris Gray made the run late in the game and came up a goal short.
1 goal shy.
Semifinal.
Virginia went on to win their 2nd national title in a row.
Powerhouses. Ironically, there's only 3 teams. We're seeing, you know, this game played in mud today. There's only 3 remaining D1 teams that we can point to who actually still play on grass. Duke, Carolina, Virginia.
Right.
Isn't that amazing? Your Mercer Bears don't play on grass.
Less expensive to play on
Jacksonville
turf.
Dolphins
That's
can't
why.
play on grass.
Just the financial wherewithal of these athletic associations. It's much more efficient financially to put in the turf and care for that than it is to care for a beautifully manicured grass field. Man up for Virginia. Clock ticking down to the final minute of this first half. Wahoo's deliberate man up. Like playing catch.
Now they're live.
Now they'll look to move, speeding up a little bit. McConvey shuts inside Cormier. That is just precision.
Surgical. I got Cormier with 5.
You are correct.
Importance of specialty situations. Man up, man down. Double crease, kind of a scissors cut inside. Dixon goes one way, Cormier goes the other. Carolina can't match up inside, just too easy.
Dixon's celebrating before that even beats Krieg. I mean, he knew it was going to happen. He saw it.
Cormier, big smile. He's put together 2 back-to-back highly productive games.
Petey wins it to himself. Dixon can't beat Craig as he fires it wide at the target. Stays with Virginia, though, still 39 seconds.
Does the lopsided nature of this game lend you to give more respect to Duke, who's at Notre Dame tomorrow? I mean, how good is Duke if they could handle this Virginia team?
I spoke erroneously. Virginia lost possession in North Carolina. What can the Heels do now? Final 25 seconds. I feel like all these ACC battles, Q, are
in their own island? Yeah, their own island. Matchup-wise, you mean?
Right. You never know. Welford. 10 seconds. Egan. Loses it. Castor forces the turnover. Now he loses it. Egan shoots it. Oh, that would have been good. As the final horn sounds, Noon's forced to go down and make one final save in what has been a very good first half for him.
Dewey Egan playing it to the final seconds. Good save by Nunes. He's focused and ready. Thought he played a great second quarter. There's a story to me. There's 2 stories. Virginia's defense, man, they have brought the toughness to this game. Cade Sawstad, Cole Kastner getting it done down low. Meanwhile, on offense is Peyton Cormier and everybody else. Xander Dixon stepping up in the absence of Connor Schellenberger.
Bresci and Unterstein got to figure something out in the second half here at home. It's all Wahoos with the lead at the break here in Chapel Hill. Getting set to start the second half. 12-4 our score. Virginia on top of North Carolina. Chris Cotter and Quinn Kesnick with you in Q. This Virginia offense was humming along in that first half, led by Peyton Cormier. 5 goals in Connor Schellenberger's absence.
And no Schellenberger, no big deal. One thing about these Cormier goals, you'll see, that's the only time he gets touched, and it was an illegal hit from behind. Otherwise, he's virtually clean. This game is an advertisement for a Tide commercial, but not for Cormier, because his jersey is pristine. Too easy multiple fakes. He'll finish in transition. He'll finish off of rebounds. He's been a king of the slot area. Peyton Cormier follows up his big game against Duke with another monster performance tonight. He's got 5 goals at halftime.
And you can see it's been a full field game for Virginia, offensively, defensively. You got Nunes in goal with 8 saves. It's been a complete performance.
+8 in the ground ball category, which really stands out in terms of what's the typical Cavalier DNA. Well, they win you, they'll beat you off the ground. Meanwhile, for Carolina, they're only shooting 4 of 24. Their attack has really been non-factor. Their offense, their middies have been slow to get involved as well.
Petey wins the second half faceoff. He'll shoot, scores! Career goal number 34 for Petey LaSalla.
If you're the Heels, you hope to get momentum. Not gonna happen today. Tyre runs off. LaSalla shakes and bakes. He splits right to left. Right to left. Okay, that's a face. So that's a Fogo scoring left-handed off a split dodge right to left from distance. Packing some punch with that shot.
9 seconds into the second half.
We know he can squat a zillion pounds.
I mean, both of these cats can score, too, when they get the ball in their crosses after they win this draw. 34 career goals for LaSalla. Wins another draw. Couldn't get it into the cross of Bauer, but it ends up with Xander Dixon. He'll chill momentarily.
That leadership. That leadership by Dixon. Waving to Petey and the pole, like, okay, we're gonna chill here. We're gonna settle. Scotty Bauer got off the field. Petey, it's our turn. Taking control now with Schellenberger watching this game with his injury.
Garno down the alley, lost it initially, now picks it back up. And because no Schellenberger, Sunderland gets time. Dixon, Create needed to make that save, and he does. Ty English. Sunderland doing a nice job of checking on that ride, but North Carolina initially got the clear, and then they lose it.
Can't do that. Can't do that if you want to win a big game.
Zinn's going to give it right back, though. He wasn't able to squeeze the pass. Carolina gets a little bit of a reprieve.
McGovern's got 1 goal. Tillman, none. The other attack position, none.
Schertzinger. Behind to McGovern. Here's DeMarco on Zinn. Shoots. Oh, that pinged off the pipe.
I like that take from DeMarco. I'm enjoying what I'm seeing from Antonio DeMarco, the sophomore from Penn Charter.
Here he is giving chase to Connor. Can't catch him.
Connor, a two-way midfielder.
Good luck to Garno, he scores.
Carolina's only got 5 on defense, and they're all spread out. Caught on a late sub. And Virginia just plays it out with a little circular passing and then a diagonal cut. Look at Garno, comes in top of the box. It's a bad sub by Carolina. It's a bad sub, and they know it.
So
Welford coming off, and those substitution decisions defensively, you've got to be 100% sure 100% of the time.
Cormier picks up an assist to go with his 5 goals. Petey now really starting to get the measure of Tyre. Dixon now the extra pass. Look at Sunderland. This Wahoo team is feeling it. Maybe time for a quick timeout here from Joe Brescia. I know he doesn't want to take it, but he's taking it because it's getting away from him.
You called it, Cotter. This game was 8-4 in the second quarter after goals from Ty English and Logan McGovern. Since then, it's been 7 straight. Virginia comes out of the locker room with authority. Jump shot, Sunderland. Everybody's involved. LaSalla, Garno, and now the freshman Sunderland. Virginia flexing their muscles, man. 7 straight, rolling the heels.
Watch this. When you watch me play, you support all of us.
You show your daughter her future matters.
Take the shot. Drive. Team up. Win. When you watch me play,
you prove we deserve more media coverage.
when you watch the game, you change the game.
Check out the weekend on tap. Obviously, you got Duke and Notre Dame tomorrow on ESPNU, but a couple of big ones in the Big Ten. Everyone with already 3 losses on the year. Ohio State still needs a big win or two, and they got an opportunity this weekend. And Villanova and Denver celebrating Bill Tierney Day, aren't they?
Important day in the Big East. Denver lost to Georgetown last week, but they'll celebrate the career of Bill Tierney. Family, friends, and alumni from both Princeton and Denver will be in town. It's going to be recognized at halftime. Then there's going to be a post-game banquet event for about an hour, social, with Denver's athletic director, Big East commissioner, and a couple special guests going to roast Coach T, I'm sure, a bit.
Right.
Congratulations to Coach Tierney. 7 national championships, nearly 40 seasons, the best to ever do it at the Division I level.
And that's a huge game, by the way, in the Big East. Both those teams desperate for a win, as we're going to get a flag here against Virginia.
Yeah, Georgetown's kind of resurrected their season, haven't they, after that 0-3 start?
Yeah.
Hoyas beat Denver last week. Hoyas will host Bob Benson and the Providence Friars this weekend. Meanwhile, Villanova, who's had a strong season prior to their loss against Brown, they're out west at altitude.
Now is when you start asking questions about how many teams from certain conferences are going to get in.
And I love this time of year because so many teams are
3-4,
still in the hunt.
body check. 1 minute.
Both for league championships and the NCAA tournament. Take the Patriot League, for example. Army leading the pack, but Loyola's not done yet. BU, you could make an argument they could win the league. Navy actually had a nice win last week.
Right.
And then there's Lehigh hovering with your boy Mike Sisselberger. So all these leagues in themselves are super fascinating.
The Ivy, finally, Princeton is starting to put together a little bit of a run. Is it too little, too late? They could certainly win that conference tournament. There's nothing, that wouldn't be that crazy.
No, Ivy.
Then how many teams get into the Ivy?
Because the Ivy League has been kind of dreadful by their standards in non-conference play. Princeton playing Syracuse this weekend is a key non-conference game. But you know, Yale, what are they, 0-3 right now in the Ivy League?
Right.
They're not
And
dead
looking
yet.
terrible,
They're a
though.
good team. They beat BU on Tuesday. Yale still got a shot, but I think all roads through Columbia for the Ivy League tournament lead through Cornell. Big Red love their ground ball margin, Connor. They're dusting people off the ground.
Virginia with an opportunity to kill off this man down. They're able to get the turnover, showing that length. How many times do you see a Virginia Cavalier knock down a pass in the passing lane because of that length, as they did on that play?
You walk the field in a game like today. A guy like Thomas McConvey is gigantic, 12 and blue. But he looks run-of-the-mill.
Right.
Ricky Miezon, who played linebacker at Stanford, is not the biggest guy on the team.
This guy.
He's not the biggest guy on his midfield line.
It's crazy.
I mean, you think about the size Virginia has on offense right now with Cormier, Schutz,
McConvey
and Miezon.
scores. Miezon.
Simple little give and go. Not a two-man play, but McConvey showing his ability without the ball. I think Cormier comes up with the assist. Starts with a turnover. There's the length you referenced, Cotter. Nice job by Tommy McNeil, the redshirt freshman from Massachusetts, who's really strong off the ground. Air traffic control, and McConvey just cuts the shorty, the midfield defender. People say, oh, you want to dodge a shorty. You also want to cut a shorty because they don't have the range. They don't have that defensive length. Nice little flash cut by Thomas McConvey.
All smiles on that Virginia Cavalier bench. Coming off, it was a very disappointing loss against Duke.
8 straight goals now for the Cavs.
Turnover here, but you had a feeling, and you think about the conversation we had with Lars this week, focus was going to be the name of the game for the Virginia Cavaliers, and they have shown that today in spades. Trying to hit the empty net.
Is that a shot? It hit the scoreboard. They're not going to give him credit for that.
Whether they do or not, I think it was Nunes who was closest to it anyway.
Other than Coach talking about his boxer, his new dog, the puppy Tucker,
He was all business, wasn't he?
He was as agitated and surly and upset. Look, and he took ownership and responsibility for the defense's performance last week. He said, that's on me. He said, we got to do better. I said, Coach, it's the first time through. Next time you play Brennan O'Neill and Duke, you'll have a different game plan for him. And guess what? When's the next time they play him? Next week.
Yeah.
Duke, Virginia face off again next week. Crazy balanced schedule of the ACC this year.
Derek Koskinen. Kark and I will be here for that game. You know, you have a conversation with Lars Tiffany during the week, always jovial, laughing around with you, wants to talk about things other than lacrosse. This week, all business. He was like, is that it? We good? Okay, guys, thanks. See you there. Like,
that's because you had ears only. You were in your Uber. I had to actually run the call. He wanted no part of me.
He just wanted to, he had work to do.
I thought the funniest thing for both these coaches this week, they're like lawn specialists telling us about different grass. For Brescia, you said, well, it's the fescue that makes it slippery. And then we talked to Lars. He said, no, it's not winter rye because it's not rooty. We need Bermuda grass in the ACC.
Right.
Like these guys are herbologists.
The root structure.
Who knew?
Here's the thing, the Bermuda, though, if you don't overseed it, it's brown, and they don't like the look of that. Carolina would like the look of a goal here. It has been a while. It was 8-4 at one point in time in this game. It is no longer that way. English staying on the field on the offensive side. Nice pass. Nunes with the save.
Nunes has been real instinctual from the inside. We got a flag coming up on Virginia, but he's done his best work on some close-range shots where there's not as much thought involved. It's just react and using his great athletic ability because he's a smooth mover, man. He's a great athlete for the position, Matt Nunes. He played defensive midfield through his sophomore season in high school outside of Houston, Texas.
There's a good look at Nunes. Virginia offside, so they'll be man down for 30 seconds. North Carolina's last goal came at the 6:36 mark of the second quarter.
Do the math. What is that?
It's a long time.
14 minutes. They also had like a 12:51 scoreless streak in the first quarter.
They were clawing their way back into it, Q.
8-4.
A couple of good goals, but it has been all Virginia, and especially the way the Wilders came out here to start this second half, leaving very little to chance. 10 seconds left in the man up for North Carolina. Gonna have to let something fly. Zinsner might do it. Instead, over here to Schertzinger. Extra pass, but a tough angle for McGovern. Gallagher just whistles that pass high. Looks like it was deflected. Was not.
It's amazing to watch this Carolina team play tonight in contrast with how good they've looked against Brown, against Dartmouth, against Providence, against High Point. Their style kind of creates blowouts against the lesser matched teams. You know, using their ride, using their speed, and it becomes overwhelming for those programs.
Chaos, a little chaos for those opponents. Tillman tries to roll. He does. Will they give him the goal? He was in the crease. Yes, they do. Goal is good.
Well, you never know when the spark's going to get lit. Lance Tillman, nice little inside roll, the senior from Colorado. Got the dirty jersey. He takes the shorty up the left-handed side. Watch him roll. Inside, clears his stick, stays out of the crease.
Got leveled by Sauce.
Good officiating, good officiating. Dance Tillman, and here, listen to the music they play for him.
Colorado kid.
Rocky Mountain High. That's your song, Cotter. That's your song, John Denver.
Went to Valor Christian. You know who else went to Valor Christian? Christian McCaffrey.
You get choked up when you hear that music?
I do get choked up when I think about the old days back in Colorado. Tyre brings me right back down to earth, though. Great goal. You saw the water splash on the back of the net.
He is doing this like no other Fogo in the country. Splitting the double team, eyes are up. Disrespected, and he can't miss. He's hit, I think, unofficially like 11 of his last 14 shots. In the last 6 games now, he's got like 11 goals. He had one earlier in the year.
He's been so good. Brescia was even talking about how they're coaching him on shooting the ball. Maybe go low a little bit more because he's going high all the time.
He just flings it hard for net.
Petey says, maybe I'll take my own chance. He does and scores on the other end.
I'm just shocked that these defenses in their fast break schematics don't recognize the true offensive threat that Andrew Tyre or Petey LaSalla is. Back-to-back Fogo goals. What Petey does there, he folds it over. See that fake he did at the top of the box, Cotter? That holds that point man. Without Schellenberger in the lineup, if I was Carolina, I would be sliding to Petey LaSalla, and I would take a shot at him, quite honestly.
Right.
I would put him on his butt, because you got a chance to maybe change the game if you can take him out.
Violation on LaSalla. You saw his face-off cross there, no shooters.
If in doubt, stop the ball carrier.
Right. He takes the shot. He was open on the far post. Whistles it high. Midway point of this third quarter, we've had a lot of action, mostly Virginia. Now you can hear the raindrops hitting our field mic.
I heard some church bells.
Might be thinking the end is nigh.
Don't they have like a tower here with cathedral?
They do. They have the bells.
Church bell.
Right in the middle of campus. Nunes again looks behind him, but he makes the save. Virginia's going to throw this one away, though, and it gets back to Carolina. 11-point Virginia lead. You kind of feel like, all right, we talked about it in the open, Q, right? Joe Bresci thought we got to win 2 of these last 4 games. This is going to be a tough comeback here in the second half. In this one, they've got Cuse next, and then they finish the year with 2 straight with a week in between against Notre Dame.
Yeah, we got him. I got him next week at Good Counsel High School in Olney, Maryland. It's a D.C. suburb north of Bethesda. If you live in the area, come on out. Because if you're not a Georgetown fan, it's probably one of the only opportunities you get to see big-time lacrosse in the DMV. Again, Syracuse, North Carolina. Neutral site game. Good Counsel High School, Olney, Maryland, next Saturday. There with the niche. Syracuse is a good team, Cotter. They've struggled to win faceoffs in these big ACC games, and it's caused a possession disparity that's worn down their young defense. I like their passing on offense, their shooting. They got some really exciting young playmakers here.
Fun to watch on offense, and a hell of a goalie in Will Mark.
Yes.
Big battle for the ground ball here, won by Dixon. Over to Sunderland, who's acquitted himself very well tonight in the absence of Connor Schellenberger.
Highly recruited out of Calvert Hall. But going back to Syracuse, they're not out of it. They're not out of a playoff hunt. They were on the table.
Speaking of highly recruited, Miezon, number 50, highly recruited in both lacrosse and football, ended up choosing football at Stanford. Now making the move to Lacrosse Creek with a really nice save.
He was a captain for David Shaw. Got to see him play this year against Oregon State, a game that the Cardinal lost at the buzzer. Just a horrendous loss. But they always loved him. They loved his foot speed for the position. He was an inside linebacker, but he could run. And the way college football is changing.
Yeah, it's evolving.
The speed from the inside linebacker position becomes a
That's why you
commodity.
see so many teams with a 3-3-5 stack and 5 defensive backs, that extra safety, kind of the safety linebacker hybrid. You got to run, and you got to cover a lot of receivers. And like in the NFL, the tight end is becoming so big, and that H-back, a hybrid on the offensive end means you better have a hybrid on the defensive end to check them.
That's exactly right. And
open net for Carolina, and they score on the 10-man. Zisner.
These empty net goals, the math just doesn't add up. You go 10-man and you give up a goal. That means you need to generate 3 turnovers to equal it out, because teams basically score 1 out of every 3 possessions. So right now, this season, we've seen more empty net goals than at any time in the history of lacrosse. The 10-man was not designed to be an all-the-time ride. It's designed to be a tempo changer. a ride to use when you're down and trailing and need to make a comeback. And this season we've seen it being used, but it is being exploited, quite honestly.
On the violation, Carolina got to move in a hurry.
And why are you Virginia and you're up 9 or 10 goals and you're in a 10-man? Wouldn't you want to do the opposite? Go zone ride, back up, and make the clear take some time and just chew in the clock?
It just becomes so much
it's like
a part
playing
of your
press
DNA.
man plus press man coverage when you're up 35 points.
It's just like Nolan Richardson used to do when he was at Arkansas in basketball, right?
What they do.
That's all you do. It's right. Since it is what you are, you don't get away from it. It's like the spread offense in football when you're on the goal line.
You're up 40 points, but you're still going no huddle.
No, you're a shotgun because it's the only thing you do. It's the only thing you know.
So Tennessee's up 35-0, 45-0. They're not going huddle. They're not going to run the ball.
You're not going under center when it's 4th and 1 from the 1-yard line. You're in shotgun because that's the only thing you ever practice. It's the only thing you do.
Right. Whoa, whoa. Dallas. Scott, go. Yeah.
Well, McGovern got number 2. They got Virginia out of position. And that jersey is filthy, and it's probably going to get even dirtier before the end of the night because he's all over the place and doesn't mind it.
Carolina with a positive spurt in this game. Nunes takes a chance. That's a right play. He should play the other shoulder of this defender. Instead of trailing him, if he comes out and hits the front shoulder with his head in front, there's a vicious collision there and a potential turnover. Right play, not the great angle.
It's a 4-1 run for North Carolina. So
many positives.
There's some positives coming out of here in the third quarter.
Yes.
And on the flip side of that, if you're Lars Tiffany, you're probably like, this isn't pleasing him very much to see this kind of a run. Matt Wright.
Well, then get out of your 10-man.
Wright can run. Instead, he passes it off. Nunes. That has to please Lars Tiffany, though, to a great extent. Struggled, Q, to your point, to about the midway point of the season, but the last 2.5+ games have been outstanding for Nunes.
Was really good at Notre Dame. Thought he did his share against Duke. Today he's looked exceptional, especially from those close-range shots. Well, that's got to be something.
That is a flag.
There may be more than one here.
Now a little bit of pushing and shoving as Sunderland gets dunked. Now a lot of pushing and shoving. More flags come out. Lots of flags.
I think it should be 2 fouls against 20 in white. We'll see.
Well, that's the veteran, Matt Wright, Western Canada.
Coaching.
Right.
The foul is here. This should be a hold.
Like
maybe a cross-check.
Right on the back of the neck.
That could hurt.
That's right. So that may be a cross-check.
And then
right.
This should be another one.
Right in the neck area of Xander Dixon.
The Slim Reaper's got a long neck, too.
So he's got a big target area, surface area?
He does. He really does. I mean, look at that thing. It's like an antenna.
Well, you know I'm calling the NC State spring game tomorrow.
Number 20. First one is unsportsmanlike conduct. That's 1 minute, it's full time. The second one, which will start after the unsportsmanlike conduct, is a cross-check. 1 minute. That is releasable, but he will serve the unsportsmanlike conduct first. Yes. 1 minute,
right.
2 minutes. The first minute is locked in.
So 2 minutes, the first minute, full time.
What are you saying about the NC State spring game?
I was saying I got Mike Glennon I'm calling the game with. Now you talk about a neck. So
bring a milk crate for your on camera.
6'7".
Or have 2 equal seats. You can do it seated because from the waist up you're about 6'2".
No, but Glennon, I mean, it's like that's 6'7". About 4'2" of that is the neck.
He would make a hulking, intimidating long pole if he
no
decided
question
to pick up lacrosse. He'd cover some serious length. Smart quarterback, nice guy also. I remember covering some of his games.
Yeah, it should be a fun game tomorrow. Hopefully the weather holds up a little bit. Spring games the next 3 weeks,
Say
by
hi
the way,
to Buch
all over the place.
Say hi to Buch, Oregon, for me, Connor.
Down there at Raleigh.
He's a huge lacrosse supporter.
Obviously from a big lacrosse family. But spring games this week, next week, and the following week, it's really condensed, and all the ACC spring games are going to be over the course of 3 weeks. And you can see all those on the ACC Network Extra online. Watch them streaming. Brennan Armstrong, the transfer from Virginia, looks like he may quarterback this NC State team.
Was very good. Had a good 2 years ago. Had a strong season.
Ridiculous. Reunited with his offensive coordinator from those Virginia teams, Robert and I. Dixon now with an empty net. Won't look to exploit it, not initially. Now he gets it back. Look at the veteran presence here. Relaxes everybody, says we got the big lead. Why not run a little bit of clock? Well, we still got a lot of time on the shot clock. McConvey up top to Corey. Garno, he'll fire. That's his spot. He was waiting for it, you can tell. Schutz thought he won the race to the end line. Officials disagree.
The ball whipped a little in Garno's pocket. Hard on a wet night like tonight to have a consistent pocket throughout the game. It's something you got to monitor pretty closely.
Krieg's in a little bit of trouble here. You can see the athleticism as he lost the ball. Now he's got an open net. Chismar couldn't make him pay, though, as he sailed it too high. Cormier backs him up.
Chismar rushed it. He had the look he wanted.
Final minute of this third quarter.
Well, Chismar did a nice job against Duke last week. As I said, 6 ground balls.
Carolina finally back to full strength as those Matt Wright penalties tick down. Virginia more than happy to run 2 minutes off the clock with this lead.
Think about the top teams in the country now, taking each other, taking shots, taking turns, beating each other. Always great to have that worthy adversary. The race from here to Memorial Day is about improvement. Who can get better? Who can maximize their parts? Who can bring along the freshman and the sophomore to add some power to the roster?
English with a nice job defensively. Dixon loses his footing, but he gets back up. Tried to get it to Sunderland, just 3 to shoot. Virginia won't get an opportunity. All in all, though, big third quarter for the Wahoos. We go to the fourth. Virginia's up 9.
Let's do it.
Come on, Dad, get me.
Oh, nice play. All right, let's go. There we go.
So cute. At Ally, we're helping millions save more for the things that matter most to them. Whatever you're saving for, we're all better off with an Ally.
Get back to work. Oh.
Chevy Silverado and new Silverado HD. Choose your own path with the #1 best-selling retail full-size pickup and see where it takes you. Find new roads. It's Chevy truck season. Get 0% financing plus make no monthly payments for 90 days on all 2023 Silverado 1500 pickups, or current Chevy owners get $5,250 total value on a 2023 Silverado with a turbo high output engine. Find new roads at your local Chevy dealer.
Let's take a look at tonight's player spotlight. It's brought to you by New York Life. No Connor Schellenberger. No problem for Peyton Cormier. He's 1 point shy of a career high, 5-2 tonight.
He's been the garbage man around the goal, scoring up for rebounds and ground balls early, but it seems like when he gets his feet set and you give him a little cushion inside, man, he is the money man. Can't miss from close range. His fakes, he's got a great variety. That's what I like about him, Connor. I don't have a feeling as an ex-goaltender where he's going to shoot, so he doesn't show like a typical pattern. You know, and he shoots hard with authority, so it's not like he's poofing it at the goal. It's not like he's pushing it. He's firing that freaking ball hard to net and showing different fakes each time, whether it's a high fake, high shot, high fake, low shot. He varies his cadence and his rhythm of his shooting. Tough to get a good look at him.
He's got 34 goals on the year despite missing 2 games with an injury. Hopkins and Towson games earlier this year for Virginia.
Like as a goalie, they're guys that you study and you say, okay, he fakes high and shoots high, or or he fakes high and shoots low, or if he fakes me low, he's going to shoot high. Or the guy's a 3 fake guy, pump, pump, pump shot. And some guys are like zillion fake guys. And then there's the occasional who don't fake you, they just come in and shoot. Those guys always gave me trouble.
Really? With no fakes?
No fakes. The others, if the guy's a second midfielder, generally he's going to listen to the scout. And so the coach says, hey, fake him high, shoot him low. Shoot low. The guy's a second or third midfielder on the other team, not an elite player. He's generally going to listen to his coach more. So you usually could bait those guys into shooting low.
Yep.
And then the last one I'll mention, righty high, lefty low. At elite college level, strong-handed guys with their strong hand, with their feet set, they want to beat you high to a corner. If they're on the run with their weak hand, they're generally going to bounce the ball.
Right.
Righty high, lefty low.
Okay.
I just increased your save percentage by 4%.
So it's now 4%. Shot clock violation against Virginia. Rain's coming down here again, as it has all day long in Chapel Hill.
Field's held up.
Field is really held up.
Well, I didn't think we'd play this game on grass, quite honestly.
There was a women's game scheduled here earlier in the day, and they moved it. Pitt's in town, and they moved that indoors.
Drainage here is incredible. I thought we had no shot that we were going to head indoors or head to a turf field.
Our game was 4 hours after the women's game was scheduled to start. And yet we were able to not only get ours in, but the field is held up well.
The Pitt women were staying in my hotel. Young program in the ACC. I believe this is what, their second year?
Yeah, it's very early. And Clemson's in, what, their first year, right?
Yeah, tons of teams now in the ACC.
UNC was able to beat Pitt 16-3 earlier today.
Still love to see Florida State Wake. Could really use a men's team as well. How about Boston College?
BC, Virginia Tech. Georgia Tech's got a great club program. So does Virginia Tech.
They're on fire this year, aren't they?
They were #1 in the country. Virginia Tech's a top 10 team.
Your Yellow
Boston
Jackets.
College,
That's your Yellow Jackets. I know you're following them.
Yeah.
You get out to practice at all?
I've been to a couple of games.
They're looking good? They got nicer gear, I heard, than when you played?
Oh, it's ridiculous. I mean, several helmets, several jerseys. I mean, when I was playing, it was like somebody would have a red helmet, green helmet. That's fine. Is it legal? You're wearing it.
You put 3 in bars out?
Now Virginia using the shot clock here. They're taking their sweet time.
Connor coming upfield.
To get ready for this rain game, Cotter, I watched the 2003 National Championship. Virginia beating Hopkins, Chris Rotelli, Tillman Johnson. I just wanted to see what a mud game looked like. Also watched the 2019 Hopkins-Carolina game that they played in Kenan Stadium.
Yeah.
When they destroyed the place.
I'm sure that Mac Brown was loving that.
But the conditions today are not as bad as either of those games.
No, and the field is really held up. Kenan was a disaster that game a couple of years ago against Hopkins.
Oh, just,
I mean,
a quagmire, a complete mud pit.
How did they ever get that?
As was M&T Bank Stadium.
Great job of fighting the big fella, Sean Goldsmith, in front for North Carolina. A little chaos. That's what they thrive on, and they did on that set.
Heels have some guys who can really rip it. Sean Goldsmith, Harry Welford. This is Goldsmith off the scramble. Nice poke check. That was Marr making that play.
Then he finds Goldsmith.
That was all Marr finding Goldsmith. They got shooters. They got Tillman and McGovern who can dodge a bit from behind the net. Yeah, I just get the feeling that Dave Metzbauer is still trying to figure out the optimal offense.
Right.
As you said, if we're going to win 2 more games, who's our best 6 and what's our scheme going to be?
Think about Goldsmith. Scored 76 goals in just 58 games at Mercer before transferring this year. Castor showing his athletic ability, the feet. Liaison quickly out of the box. He'll shoot way too high, but a lot of power on that shot.
I can't even see it. Can you see it? On a night like tonight?
Just fades into the darkness of the night here in Chapel Hill. Not close to testing Krieg, though. Liaison with a goal earlier on in the night. Shuts behind to Sunderland.
Highly skilled Sunderland, really experienced coming out of the MIA in Baltimore.
Beautiful feed, the Schuts in front. Beats Krieg.
Carolina's going to play that passive. Sunderland's going to pick them apart. Credit Schuts for the hustle. Schuts was a game-time decision. Didn't practice as much this week as he'd like to with an undisclosed injury. But look at the constant movement by Virginia. And Schuts just uses his width and his shoulders, creates some leverage. Lacrosse is a visual game. He flashes his stick, and Sunderland puts it right on his ear, right in that box area. And all Schuts has got to do is redirect it past Krieg, who's turning in the process. You know, I'm teaching my daughter how to play now, and constantly the visual game. Put the target up so I know where to pass it. Where do you want to receive the pass? Is it high? Is it off the hip? Is it off the shoulder? Lacrosse is such a visual game. If you watch these players, the good ones, they're always going to have their stick up in that box area.
Inside of 10 to play. Carolina scored first in this game, a power play goal. And since then, it has been Virginia. They took a 2-1 lead, and that was it.
Blew it open to 8-2. Carolina came back to make it 8-4. Then another Virginia run. So it's been a pair of haymaker runs.
Cormier lowers his shoulder into the defender. Now McConvey wide.
Impressive offensive outing without Connor Schellenberger.
I mean, this is the #3 scoring defense in the country in North Carolina. They give up 8.5 goals a game. Sunderland tried to feed it to Connor, can't, but flags all over the turf from every direction. This will be a call against North Carolina.
But a good sign for the Heels. Thought last week they focused a little too much on their offense, attacking Duke's shorts. Like, if you're a great player in college lacrosse, you got to be able to dodge a pole. Like, let's not concede a matchup to a pole and only attack the other team's shorties. So I think Schellenberger being out today could be a long-term benefit.
24 slash 1 minute. Hey, it's going to go hard.
So Stephanie and Scott, his parents, terrific parents. Love Scott. The weather turning. I'm sure he's out playing a bunch of golf. Miss him at the post game tonight.
Is there a worse game, though, to have to sit than this one in the rain and the cold? I mean, if you have to take a game off, if you're Connor Schellenberger and you got to sit and take notes and look at the iPad or whatever he's doing over there on the sideline, wouldn't you like to have a nice night where it's like 75 and clear?
Working on your tan. Yeah, this is going to be a tough one to stomach if you're Carolina. The good news is, as you said, they still got 2 games against Notre Dame and 1 against Syracuse. You're still in the hunt. You came into this game with an RPI of 9. You got a really quality win over Johns Hopkins. Your losses are all good. Ohio State, Denver, Duke, and whatever happens here tonight.
Xander Dixon, little twister right in front of Krieg.
The way this one's unraveling is not going to sit well. It's not going to taste well for a team that recently had to deal with the stomach bug and food poisoning. Look at Dixon, the way he controls that on the inside. The twister shot. He's got it behind the back. He's got sidearm releases. Talked about his ability to play tennis. There's hand-eye coordination, and there's wrist and finger coordination on the stick that makes him a wizard inside.
Ho-hum hat trick. It's just commonplace for Xander Dixon now. You mentioned it, Virginia next up at Duke next Saturday at noon on the ACC network. Syracuse and North Carolina next week. Neutral site game in Maryland. Matt Wright deflects that pass. Bresci can't handle it. Dixon, he'll shoot. Steered aside by Krieg. Krieg didn't get a piece of it.
That's where having a good relationship with the manager or the stat person really helps your goaltender.
Nice check.
I'd be sending them jelly beans on Easter.
Look who that was, Sander Dixon. Almost was able to get position.
He really is a complete player. Here comes a ride. Virginia's not in a 10-man. They're still causing havoc with their starters up by the midfield line.
English picks up the loose change in the middle of the field. Dangerous player with the ball in his cross.
I like English. I like DeMarco.
Tillman.
Welford can shoot from distance. Goldsmith can. I think Tillman and McGovern are players. I think Matt, 7 in white, ultimately needs to play midfield for this team. And I think Dewey Egan may be the same. And Carolina probably should use more invert sets. With those midfielders, they're really attacking, masquerading as midfielders, attacking from behind the net.
Inside, Tillman with a nice feed from McGovern.
Great look, huh? Running up the field. Connor, how do you do that? He's running towards the midfield line, throws this one over his left shoulder to the back post. Good-looking goal by Carolina. McGovern with his eyes up. Easy finish for Tillman.
No, it's not your usual, but cereal's tasty with Calfia almond milk.
Oh, looks yummy, creamy, delicious. People see me and think, oh, he only eats cookies. But me multifaceted individual, me try new things.
Guess we should start calling you Cereal Monster. Or that was just a joke.
Good, yeah, Cookie Monster.
Cookie Monster.
Cookie Monster.
Calfia.
Watch this. When you watch me play, you support all of us.
You show your daughter her future matters.
Take the shot. Drive. Team up. Win. When you watch me play,
You prove we deserve more media coverage.
when you watch the game, you change the game.
Notre Dame and Duke, #1 versus #2 tomorrow. Brennan O'Neill has been sensational this year, leading Division I in scoring, and then Pat Cavanaugh and Chris. So Chris has really elevated his game now when you think about how dangerous those two are. Ridiculous. That's going to be so much fun to watch tomorrow afternoon, 4 o'clock.
Cavanaugh's always bring it, as does Brendan O'Neill. I think the face-offs maybe favor Duke with Jake Naso. I think the goaltending perhaps could favor Notre Dame with Liam Entenmann. Notre Dame's a different beast at home.
And also a different beast with Jake Taylor now healthy.
Jake Taylor's looking good on the inside. But the way Garrett Ledman's playing for Duke and the way they're operating in the settled sets, I just loved their passing, their sharing, and the way the parts are working for Matt Danowski, their offensive coordinator. Matt's doing an amazing job this year because that offensive group is really in sync. And I loved in the Virginia game the way Duke ran, Cotter. They you know, for a couple of years, it was a little stagnant. They're only scoring in 6-on-6 sets. Well, they're scoring now off a face-off. Right. They're scoring off a lot of turnovers. They riddled Virginia in the turnover game with some nice-looking runouts.
And Ledman's athleticism in the midfield is...
Ledman can beat a pole.
Yeah.
Brendan O'Neill can beat a pole. Like, they're not reliant on picking on your shorties.
And you put McAdory down at that attack, and he seems to be fitting in really well with the two stalwarts.
Balsamo on the lefty wing, you know, as another jitterbug type. So different body types, different skill sets. Dyson Williams, if you show up, he's guaranteed to have a 7-bagger.
No doubt. Should give me some of that NIL cheddar he's working on.
Dyson's
always has great games when I'm calling his game.
Oh, yeah.
Schertzinger trying to get it to his left. Zinsner picks it up. Fresh 60 to shoot.
I had a great discussion with Wilson Stevenson on my podcast this week for Lax All-Stars. He pointed to last year. I asked him about the Notre Dame game. He said, well, that was the last game last year that they lost to Notre Dame. So he was really channeling the feeling Remember Notre Dame,
yeah.
Bad ending of the year, didn't make the playoffs. Notre Dame won all their games
6 in a row
last
to
year.
end the year and still didn't make the postseason.
But for Duke, they're trying to channel that feeling from a year ago.
Right. That game at South Bend, that last game of the year last year, the thinking was winner is probably in. And it was Notre Dame that won that game, and loser would have a hard time getting in, and both teams didn't get in.
A different scenario this year because of out-of-conference play. ACC's gone 31-6 out of conference. I believe there are only one ACC out-of-conference game. That's this weekend, Syracuse and Princeton. Be big if Princeton could upset the Tigers, who I think would be favored in that game, but close.
Princeton's played well these last couple of weeks. They've needed to.
And now the Ivy League is the team, the conference who's got the subpar non-conference record. Two Ivy League teams probably in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, if the season were to end today, you're probably looking at Cornell and Penn as the only two teams from the Ivy that would get into the NCAA tournament. Yale with a shot. And really, I think if you're Princeton, you got to be thinking win the Ivy League tournament, which is going to be in Columbia again this year. That's a great spot. If you're living in New York or if you're in the tri-state area there, go to Columbia and check out the Ivy League tournament. That's a blast.
Yeah. Was it Friday, May 5th? 2 games at night. And then Sunday, May 7th, I believe it's at noon. And then we'll head up to Connecticut for the selection show. Haven't booked my hotel yet, Cotter.
For New York?
I can't wait. It's like the greatest day of the year.
Tillman with the goal for Carolina. It's not the greatest day of the year for our accounting department.
Look at Tillman's jersey.
Filthy, as you would hope and expect to see.
It's a laundry detergent commercial today. Well, the field's held up spectacularly well. Circular passing, then you got the 2 players on the inside. Tillman rubs off the initial cut and finishes that lefty from close range. Dance Tillman. Team USA last summer, played in Ireland. Had a big game in the 21 quarterfinals, that Rutgers win up at Hofstra. 4 goals in that game. Was kind of a savior off the bench that day for Joe Bresci.
Tyre shoots it wide. Mac Eldridge getting some run at face-off now for Virginia. Giving Petey LaSalle maybe the rest of the night off.
That's a shrewd move. LaSalle's style puts his health sometimes in jeopardy the way he stays on and plays offense. You need a capable backup Fogo. You're going to win 2 games again in 3 days during championship weekend. You've got a goalie change as well.
Yep. Got David Roselle in cage for Virginia. DeMarco will chase this ground ball down. Keep it with North Carolina. 25 to shoot.
Matt now playing midfield. This is what you probably see over the next 3 games. He's going to take shorties behind it and have a matchup. Great double team.
Going to get a call here though against Castner.
Good manners. Good manners by Castner, the way he put that ball on the turf.
All kinds of broken sticks too. You know, both these teams had a lot of sticks today because they were worried about getting bagged out, although it doesn't happen as much as it used to with the wax mesh and whatnot. Bad with the goal.
Brought a lot of footwear and a lot of stick components.
Yeah.
So my guess is you'll see James Madden, the freshman from Gonzaga, playing a midfield role out of the invert, okay, because he can make plays like that. Super talented. Loved what I saw from him. I saw him prior to his senior year at an event in Columbia, Maryland, and was just really impressed with his skill set. Difficult for freshman attackmen in the ACC, but if they played him at midfield, he'd generally be covered by a short stick, and he can make some things happen from behind the net. We've seen him score. He's a good passer. You'll see more of that in the next 3 games.
Timeout called by Lars Tiffany in Virginia. Final 2:20 of this game. It really has not been in doubt. Going all the way back to the early moments of this second half when Virginia went on a big run to wrest control. It was 8-4 at one point in time, and then the Wahoos took control in the early third quarter, have not looked back. They'll win their 8th game of the year against 2 losses. Carolina will drop to 7-4. So this game, a big part of the ACC this weekend, as well as tomorrow's #1 versus #2 showdown. Got that at 4 o'clock on ESPNU. I'm sure Anish and Clark are already at the Jesus. Getting a nice steak dinner up there in South Bend. Brennan O'Neill has been ridiculous, as advertised. Will Mark, we talked about it a little bit earlier on. He has really been that backstop for Syracuse.
Fun to watch, too.
Yeah.
You know, he can make the big save. I love his wide stance, quick hands. Cuse is entertaining, and there's a lot of upside there. You know, Joey Spallina, Owen Hiltz, Finn Thompson. Their extra man is just creative and brilliant. Love it. The question is going to be face-offs. And that's why I think against Carolina, Syracuse, a game that's going to be played at Good Counsel on next Saturday. I'll be there with Anish. I think Syracuse can give Carolina a great game. I think Syracuse can beat Carolina.
How close in your mind is Syracuse?
If they can win face-offs.
How close in your mind is Syracuse? You know,
they're a Fogo away from being in contention.
Elite company. They're a Fogo away from being an elite company.
That's what I believe. When you look at their games, look at their 3 signature losses this year. There's been a huge possession disparity, and the impact of that is a fatigued defense. And you're young, and immature, and tired. I mean, look at the Notre Dame game. They took the lead 13-11 on that goal that got disallowed. The next thing you know, Notre Dame wins 21-12.
It's a big run. You're right. Next thing you know,
it's closer than it looks. Is all I'm saying. And face-offs would give them a fighting chance. They're going to bring in some transfers next year. They're going to have another strong recruiting class. That's a program that's moving up. And I will say, my alma mater, Pete Milliman at Johns Hopkins, what an incredible job he's done this year.
Unbelievable job. Because the first thing you talk about with Hopkins, really every year, and this year was no different, schedule. Brutal. Every single week.
9-3 now? They lost to Carolina on short rest, but man, he has done, and his staff, John Crowley, Brian Kelly, Jameson Kester. You know, I think the key change for the program, honestly, Alex Mazzone from Georgetown. He's been so good off the ground. He's been so solid on defense. It's helped their goaltender out. He can play wings of faceoffs. He's their most valuable player.
Right. Oh, he is. Okay. Yeah, they played Virginia very tough too, at home.
Better. And look, they're not a top 5 team. They can't compete with Virginia, Duke, Notre Dame, Cornell. But they may be the next of the best of the next tier.
Yeah, and that's a step in the right direction for them.
Those players and the staff deserve a lot of credit because they're on the cusp of being in the abyss. Like Hopkins gone forever, but they pivoted and flipped the script this year. And Carolina's holding a win over them, and that's by far the brightest spot on Carolina's resume.
No doubt. As we look to the last 3 games of their schedule, Cuse and twice against Notre Dame, that Hopkins, they need the Blue Jays to keep winning. Big game against Penn State on Sunday for Hopkins.
Yeah, most teams have 4 going into this weekend, have 4 regular season games. You make the conference tournament, you can play as many as 6 games. So hardcore bracketology to me it's a little premature for that. But you get the sense that there's so many teams nationally are still in the hunt. As long as you keep winning, you're going to stay active.
Final few seconds as Carolina with a big shot from Tillman. Looking to find the net one more time. McGovern. No quitting him. He's captain for his team at Bryant before transferring here. Stifling defense for Virginia as the horn sounds to wrap this one up. 19-12, our final. Virginia coming off that loss, which was grating on Lars Tiffany all week long to Duke last week. Came out strong today right from the opening whistle. Took it to North Carolina and gets the W.
No Connor Schellenberger, no problem. Diversified attack led by Peyton Cormier, but I thought everybody ate. Liked what I saw from Jeff Connor, McConvey, Schutz, even Ricky Miezon. Pete Garneau stays hot. Xander Dixon was everywhere. So a spectacular job by the offense. And then defensively, they did play tougher. They played with a little more beast mentality, specifically Cole Kastner and Cade Sawstead winning their matchup against the two Carolina attackmen.
Carolina struck first, then Virginia took control and never looked back. Nunes with 12 saves on the day as well, in goal for the Cavs. A couple of goals from distance on 10-man rides. Entertaining from start to finish, but in the end, it was Virginia who got the dub. For Quick Kesnick, I'm Chris Cotter. Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you next time.